Alright, let's talk about coffee etch. So I forge a knife, I heat treat the knife, I temper the knife, I finish grind the knife, I polish the knife. Depending on the knife, anywhere's up to 320, sometimes up to 1,000 grit, depending on the blade and the Damascus. So I polish the knife, and then I etch the knife in a 4-to-1 mix of ferric chloride acid and water. So I will do different etch cycles, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, just depending on what I'm going for. I like to etch deep, but not over etch the blade. So I want to show the pattern as much as possible. But then I end up taking the knife out and I'll repolish it with 1,000 grit, and then I will put it into an instant coffee solution. So Nescafe Classico is the best. That is what I recommend. It's what I use. Don't drink it, but it's what I use. So I mixed up, I set the teapot up, I got some water hot, and I mixed up 10 tablespoons, and I mean heaping tablespoons, probably I don't know, a third of the jar or better, of instant coffee, diluted it, melted it in with the hot water, and then I just put it into a piece of 2-inch PVC. So I've got the knives etched, like this one, for example, one for my kitchen set. This is a raindrop Damascus, and it looks really good right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this blade off. I've oiled them so they don't rust or oxidize. But I'm going to clean this blade off, and I'm going to polish this blade off with some 1,000 grit paper. And then I'm going to put it in instant coffee. And what I'm going to try to do is all of the dark colors in here, I'm going to make them even darker, really good and black. Okay, set that pattern off really good. So I've got this blade, I've got this carving knife here, a boning knife. It's more for meat than fish. It's kind of stiff, but it's a twisted Damascus. And I'm going to do the same to it. And then I've got this one here, which was a San Mai that I tried something new that I think I called it leopard spot or something. But I end up saying, well, it looks more like giraffe spots. But this is that blade. This is a carving knife like you would carve your Christmas ham with. I'm going to clean these blades up with some acetone, make sure I don't have no oils or anything on them. Then I'm going to polish them off with some 1,000 grit paper, get all the oxides off. Once I do that, I'm going to clean them off with acetone again, and we're going to put them in the coffee. So let me get them cleaned up, and we'll be back. All right, I got my blades cleaned off, and then I washed them with some acetone, scrubbed them with some Windex, sanded them with 1,000 grit, polished them up, really cleaned them up, took the oxides off of it. You can see it's a lot brighter, right? So now, when I put it in the coffee, I want that bright to stay that bright, and I want the black in there to actually turn dark black. We're gonna try it, see how it goes. So I did all my knives, all 3 of them. So now I'm gonna clean them off with some acetone, and I'm gonna put them in the coffee, and we'll check them in about an hour and see how they look. Alright, so I put my coffee, it's in a piece of PVC, put it in my vise. I can set it in here. I got a good light for when I want to look at it. But I heated up my coffee. You know, it was boiling when I mixed it up. I let it cool down. It's probably 120 degrees or something like that. A little too cool to drink, but not quite room temperature. All right, I got the knives in the coffee. If you noticed, one of them, I didn't notice it beforehand, was pretty long, and it actually touched the bottom before it was completely submerged. It just lacked a little bit. So I added a little more water and then picked it up just a tiny hair off bottom. We'll let it go an hour, pull it out, we'll have a look at it together. All right, guys, we've been in the coffee etch now for 1 hour. Let's have a look at it. Oh, it's looking pretty good. I think it can go a little darker. Oh yeah, that one can go quite a bit darker. And we're getting close on that. All right, we're headed in the right direction. I'm gonna start checking it now about every 15 minutes until I get it right where I want it. 15 more minutes. Well, that's looking pretty good. I'm liking that. I'm just gonna go a little, give it another 15. Same on that one. 15 more minutes. And another 15 minutes. Oh, I'm liking it. All right, I'm liking where this one's at, so I'm gonna go ahead and get it rinsed off. String cut off of it. Now I've got some clean water here, and I'm just gonna rinse it off. I'm not gonna rub on it. Gently rinse it off. Looks pretty good, pretty even. Now we're gonna blow it off dry. Just with air. We're not going to wipe it. Not yet. Alright, I got it out. I took some air, blew it dry. And I'm going to just take my finger and some of this mineral and beeswax mix, 50-50 by weight. And I'm just going to give it a light, gentle coat. Make sure I get plenty on it. Alright, so I'm going to use my heat gun this time. I'm just going to melt that wax. Use the torch. Lightly. Make sure I get everything covered. I'll take my clean paper towel here and I'm going to wipe off the excess. So what you see is no black, you just see the color of my wax. Yeah, I'm liking that. Alright, we're going to let this dry. I'm just going to let that dry there for a bit, and then we'll polish it off with a rag. Alright, so you don't want to wipe on it. We don't want to wipe it dry or anything because we want to leave that black on there. We want to set that black in. So we're going to, first thing that wipes on it is going to be wax. I just use my finger. You can use a paper towel or whatever. But I heated it up. You just seen that wax kind of melt in. Wipe off the excess. Going to let it dry, and then I'll show you here in a minute. We'll clean it up a little more. All right, I'll let that dry for a few minutes. You can see the lines going up and down. That is the wax, a little bit thick still on it. So I don't have a microfiber rag, I don't think. I'm just gonna use a piece of clean t-shirt material, and I'm gonna just gently, I'm just gonna wipe off the excess and just kind of polish it up a little bit. All right. You can really see the three different steels in that. The three different colors. Black, gray, and bright silver. But let's look at the next one. It's been another 15 minutes. I think this one here is getting close. You know? I think I'm liking that. Well, I've got a jug of clean water here. I'm just gonna, since it won't fit in there, I'm just gonna rinse it off. Yeah, I think I'm liking that. All right, let's get it blown off. Same routine. Not gonna wipe it, just gonna blow it dry. Make sure it's good and dry. All right, same thing. We're going to get our beeswax and mineral oil. Coat it up good. Now make sure you don't cut yourself. Even though the knives haven't been sharpened, they're pretty sharp by this point. Definitely sharp enough to cut you. We're going to get our heat gun. Melt that in. Go ahead and use our towel we used just a second ago. The only thing on it is the oil. Notice there's no black. That's what we want. Wipe off our excess. I'm going to lock that in our vise and let it dry for a few. You can see what it's starting to look like. But you can see right there, you can see how thick that wax is on it still. Alright, so I let that knife set in the vise and dry a little bit. Now you can see, like I said, the wax is on it, right? So I'm going to take my clean t-shirt, get me a nice clean spot on my clean t-shirt, and I'm just going to wipe off that excess wax. Oh, there's my finished product. I bet that one's a little different. I like it. I need to get some handles on these, get them in my set. What do you guys think? You like that one? Alright, so let's recap this. So I did my polish, I did my acid etch, I cleaned everything up, repolished, and then I went into the instant coffee. So you really just need to keep an eye on your blades when they're in the coffee. Different blades, different metals, different patterns, etch different. You could see that on this. All three of those blades went in there probably within a minute of each other. This blade here, I was happy with the results. After an hour and 15 minutes, I believe, maybe 30. This blade here was in there for 30 more minutes with me checking on it every 15 minutes. So it's also been another 15 minutes with me messing with this, and I checked on the little raindrop. I'm still not happy with it. So I will continue to leave it in there until I'm happy with it or until I'm unhappy with it and repolish the whole thing and do it all over again. So I was looking at it just now, and where it's at, I feel like it's not even going to be anything to check on for at least another hour. So at the end of that time, I'm going to pull it out and we'll check on it and see what it looks like then. Alright, so the blade's been in the coffee for another hour. I pulled it out and I looked at it. Wasn't darkening like I wanted. I wasn't real happy with it. So I sanded the whole thing off with 1000 grit again, put it back in the coffee. I'm going to leave it overnight and we'll have a look at it in the morning. Alright, I left it in the coffee overnight. Still not happy with it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So you can see in some areas there, the black has turned really black. Alright. But it's just so many layers, such tight layers that you get back a little bit, it just looks, it just looks dull, muted. I like it better polished out. So where I'm at right now, I'm going to repolish this blade with 1000 grit. I'm going to go ahead and try. I'm going to put it back in my acid for 30 seconds, 1 minute, constantly keep checking on it and see if I can make it have the effect I want, or if not, I'm polishing it out and leaving it. I like the chatoyance it had when it was there. Alright, the other paper I sand dry. With the 1000 grit paper, I will use some Windex on it because it really clogs up fast, especially with the oxides and stuff that's on the blade. Alright, so I tried the coffee etch on this blade. I did not like it. I polished it back. I tried the ferric chloride. I wasn't happy with it. Different patterns look good different ways. So I'm leaving it polished. This blade's 520 layers. It has an awesome chatoyance in it. I'm just going to leave it like that. So as far as the coffee etch goes, take your time, make sure your materials are clean, make sure they're polished out high enough, do your acid etch, polish it back out, try the instant coffee. Some blades, it does amazing things too, and other blades, just depending on the patterns and the steels, you never know. But it's worth giving it a shot. Try the coffee etch.